Hi guys, welcome to this live session on Unacademy Plus on the Unacademy channel, and in this YouTube session, we are going to continue our discussion on the previous year questions for CAT, and I've got some interesting questions coming up for this session, and the first of it is this thing. Before I start off, let me just introduce myself. This is as you can see, this is session 3 of the previous year questions, and my name is Arun Sharma, and I'm a 99.99 percentile of CAT, author with McGraw-Hill, and multiple times 99.9 plus percentile I've got. I'm author with McGraw-Hill, and I'm an IIM Bangalore alumnus, and I'm a 20-time CAT qualifier, the latest being CAT 2019, of course. And if you are interested in doing my live classes, do subscribe to Unacademy Plus. I am also available on Unacademy Plus. My courses, which include foundation course for CAT 2020, and also foundation course for CAT foundation course for CAT 2020, where I'm doing quants plus data interpretation plus reasoning. Has just started a week back, and I'm also and this course also has English. It's a batch course with English with Binakshi Padhe ma'am, and I'm also running foundation courses, a foundation course of mine on data interpretation and logical reasoning is going to start towards the end of January, and apart from that, I'm also uh, going to run going forward. I'm also going to run advanced courses on DI and LR. As you know, data interpretation and logical reasoning are the most important constructs or the most important aspects of the CAT exam in the current context, and I'll be doing all this coming up. So as I said, this is already running. This is one course of this is running, and the second course will be happening very soon, in terms of starting sometime around 20th 23rd week of Jan, and an advanced course on DILR, you can look forward to it coming up sometime in February, March, etc. And if you want to subscribe to Unacademy Plus, you can use my promo code, which is arun.yt. So that's my promo code. If you use that, you'll get a 10% discount. If you want to subscribe to any of my courses and run any and study in any of the courses, you can use this promo code for joining there, right? So with that brief introduction of myself, I'm quite sure you guys have seen my books, etc. for CAT. So with that brief introduction, let me come to the first question for today. The question you can see on your screen. Let me just see whether I can improve the the font of this or the size of this. Yeah, so I guess you can still see the question. So the question is in front of you, and this question is, uh, as you can see, from a rectangle ABCD of area 768 square centimeters, a similar semicircular part with diameter AB and area 72 pi square centimeters removed. So the perimeter of the leftover portion in centimeter is. So what is the perimeter of the leftover portion? So first of all, there are a few triggers in this question. As I always say, that maths is completely trigger oriented, trigger based. And the starting trigger here is that there is a rectangle of area 768 square centimeters. So this is the visualization of that rectangle. It will have a length and breadth, and you can obviously think about it uh, as essentially uh, uh, both the length and breadth of this rectangle would be factors of the number 768. Both the length and breadth of this rectangle would essentially be factors of the number 768, right? So right now there's no incentive to move to to the factor pairs, that would give you a product of 768. So we'll leave it at that. And the question then moves on. What it says is that a semicircular part with diameter AB and area 72 pi square centimeter is removed. So if I think about this part in this question, two thoughts come to mind. That when I'm removing the 30 since the rectangle is ABCD, the first thought that comes to mind is that if I put AB like that and I try to take out a semicircle with the diameter AB, what is going to happen if I put the diameter AB of the semicircle on the larger length of the rectangle? So what happens is that you end up going outside the rectangle. So so in that sense, this would then not be possible. So instead of this, if I go back to the other side, and hence we will eliminate the possibility of drawing AB like this, and we'll have to think of AB on the smaller side. So if I put AB on the smaller side here, if I put AB on the smaller side here and C and D here, then it is quite feasible to draw a semicircle inside this rectangle such that this semicircular part gets removed, right? So when you do that, what ends up happening is that you have a figure which is mostly a rectangle, but still it has a component of it where it is a curved surface. So you have this DA intact, this CD intact, and this BC intact, and this part is the semicircular part of that figure. So when you do this, the question is talking about what is the perimeter of the leftover portion. So the question is giving us a clear objective that we want the perimeter of the leftover portion. So that means this blue drawing that I've drawn here, उसका perimeter चाहिए हम लोग को. So to understand the perimeter, I need basically to identify the sum of 2L plus B plus this curved part. That will be the perimeter of this rectangle. So when I try to make the perimeter of this rectangle, then since I know that the area of this is 72 pi square centimeters, area of a semicircle we know as pi r square by 2. So if that is equal to 72 pi, if we equate this, the pi gets deleted, and you end up with r square is equal to 144, and that ends up with r is equal to 12. And if r is 12, the perimeter of the circumference, the semi circumference of the semicircle, the half circumference of the circle, is going to be pi r. So one thing is very clear, that this part is going to be 12 pi. And the moment you look at that, it's very evident that the answer has to be this. Because whatever you do with the L's and the B's, the 2L plus B in no way, the 2L plus B in no way is going to be anything in terms of pi. So this 12 pi is not going to change. So right then and there, you can take a 100% call that the answer is going to be, it's a 100% call that the answer is going to be option B, and there can be no other answer here. Right? Of course, you can go ahead and try to work out and try to make out that the length and the breadth of the rectangle. So effectively, if you think of this, that the radius of this semicircle is 12, it means that the side B, that means CD, which we have looked at the breadth of the rectangle, that's 24. And if 24 is the breadth of the rectangle, the length of the rectangle, so that you get an area of 768, would be 32. So the answer would be 32, 32, and 24. So you can of course work that out, but you don't need to, because 12 pi is very clear. And this question is from the CAT 2018 paper, which is supposed to be the toughest exam ever in the CAT. And you can see that there's nothing tough about this, right? So all I tell my students, and all I tell everybody who cares to ask me, or I talk about Unacademy Plus courses also, is that when you are preparing for this kind of an exam, when you're preparing for an exam like this, you have to make sure that that you install the triggers and the reactions. So you fail in a maths question only if you don't know what trigger is leading to what reaction. You fail in a maths question only then. So this is a very simple question from a very tough paper supposedly, and through this series of lessons I'm going to on YouTube, I'm going to show you a lot of these questions from the CAT 18 paper also, and you can judge for yourself that all these questions are questions that the first 50, somebody who solved the first 50 to 100 questions on that chapter should be able to do. So let's look at question 2 now. Let's have a look at question 2. A water tank has inlets of two pipes, two inlets of two types, A and B. All inlets of type A, when open, bring in water at the same rate. All inlets of type B, when open, bring in water at the same rate. So this part is, nothing will be done with this part as such. The empty tank is completely filled in 30 minutes if 10 inlets of type A and 45 inlets of type B are open. Now this is a point which has a reaction. So you have to react to this information before you move on. One of the mistakes a lot of you do is that you go to the end of the problem and then you start reading again. If you do two readings of a question, automatically the question becomes more lengthy for you. So your attitude and your focus should be that you should be able to finish off things in one reading. So the empty tank is completely filled in 30 minutes if 10 inlets of type A and 45 inlets of type B are open. So the reaction to that is 10A plus 45B into 30 is equal to capacity of the tank. Right? And then the question says, and in 1 hour, if 8 inlets of type A and 18 inlets of type B are open. So 8A plus 18B. Now this is where there's a switch in this question that you should use. Since this is 1 hour, so you have an option of using 60 there, or you have an option of using 1 hour here. In that case, this 30 will change to half. And when you do that, this becomes a much superior solution, because in this case, the calculations go down drastically. So you should be able to see that switch here, that instead of switching 1 to 60, it's better to switch 30 to half and move into hours. So this is also the capacity of the tank. And hence we can equate these two. And this is a standard move in time and work. So if I just write it directly, rather than going through a couple of steps in this question, what will happen is you'll get 5A plus 22.5B, 5A plus 22.5B is equal to 8A plus 18B, which basically then means that 3A is equal to 4.5B, which means that A is equal to 1.5B. or A is equal to 3 by 2B. So once you get this, you can move on to the next question, or to the next statement. The question is talking about, the next statement talks about in how many minutes will the empty tank get completely filled if 7 inlets of type A and 27 inlets of type B are open. So if we move forward from this point, that the value of A is 3 by 2B. If you move forward from this point, the value of A is 3 by 2B. So your whole work, if you look at the second case, 8A plus 18B into 1. So this was the work, and A is 3 by 3 by 2B. So the total work is 8 into 3 by 2B plus 18B, and this becomes 30B. This is the total work that you have to do, and this is done by 7 inlets of type A plus 27 inlets of type B in a certain time. Let's call it a blank. So the obvious thing to do is replace this A by 3 by 2B. So this will become 10.5A or 21 by 2A plus 27B, sorry, 10.5B plus 27B into the time has to be equal to 30B. So where you are now is 37.5B multiplied by a certain time has to be equal to 30B. And if you solve this, you'll get the value of the time as 4 by 5, because the B will cancel out. So 4 by 5 hours, which basically means 48 minutes. So this is a theta question again from the CAT 2018 paper, and you can see that if I just replace in this question, if I just replace this question by this story, the story of this question, if I replace by this story, that 10 men and 45 women can complete a task in half an hour, and then I say 8 men and 18 women can complete this task in 1 hour, how much time would 7 men and 27 women take to do the same work? Now, if you look at this question in this form, you realize that structurally this is a very simple question, and it's one of the first 50 questions that you do on the time and work chapter. This is part of the first 50. This is part of one of the 10-15 questions any teacher will teach you in the theory of this chapter. So first 50 questions ka part hai in that chapter, in the time and work chapter, and hence if anybody was not able to solve this in the question, a serious question does arise कि वो preparation क्या कर रहे थे, right? And we are talking about not, I mean, when I'm picking up questions from the CAT 18 paper, I'm picking up questions from the toughest CAT paper of all time in quants, right? This was an exam in which if you got 10 questions right, you would end up getting 96-97 percentile in quants. So what does it take to get these 10 questions right? You can clearly see that there's absolutely no reason why somebody who's prepared with the triggers and reactions of every chapter should not be able to do this. So let's look at the third question. The third question here is the smallest integer n such that n cube minus 11n square plus 32n minus 28 is greater than 0. Now, one way to solve this is what I just deleted from my whiteboard here. And that's this. That n cube minus 11 square plus 32n minus 28 greater than 0 can be restructured to n minus 7 into n minus 2 whole square. Now, if this has to be greater than 0, then this part is always positive, and hence I need this to be 0, to be greater than 0. It has to be positive. So the question then arises that, okay, obviously then for that solution, n has to be greater than 7. So the minimum value of n in this case is 8 for this situation, right? Now, if I think about this question, or if I think about this situation, I'm pretty okay with somebody asking me कि ये इसका factorization, especially somebody who is not so used to algebra, इसका factorization ये कैसे दिखेगा? So that's going to be a challenge for, especially for people. Maybe somebody who is very very well versed with algebra can be able to see that. But and the route for cracking the CAT is not to get really really good at algebra as such, right? Because algebra processes take time. So I really do not recommend that you start moving into this direction for this case, for this situation. So you have a few views where you can do this logically, because you can use sum of roots is, I mean, if you think of how to get the n minus 7 and into n minus 2 whole square, you can try to use that for a standard cubic equation. The number of roots to the right of the y-axis, this is the y-axis, so the number of roots to the right of the y-axis will be the number of sign changes going from A to B to C to D. It will be the number of sign changes here going from A to B to C to D, right? So that you can definitely think of in this dimension. So when you look at for example, n cube minus 11 square plus 32n, and why we are looking at the roots is because if I look at this as an equation, then since this is plus 1, this is minus 11, this is plus 32, and that's minus 28, you can easily see that that there are three sign changes. I just need to be back. Just give me a second. Yeah, sorry for that. So as I said, you can clearly see that the number of sign changes here, positive, negative, is one sign change, second sign change, and a third sign change. So what you realize is that in this case, the graph of the function will be such that all the roots will be on the right of the y-axis, right? So it has to, I mean, if the roots are real, it has to cut the y-axis three times, or touch the y-axis once and come back this thing. So when you start understanding that the graph of this can be something like this, it could be something like this, it could be something like this, or it could be something like this. These are the four ways in which a graph which has three roots to the right of the y-axis will be drawn. Here you got three distinct real roots. Here you got two identical, but all three real roots. All three roots are real. यहाँ पे all three roots are real also, but all of them are distinct. यहाँ पे two are identical. इस केस में there is one real and two imaginary roots. और इस केस में भी there is one real and two imaginary roots. So this you can work out. So when you start thinking about this, or you start thinking about these four kinds of graphs, you realize that for the inequality then, n cube minus 11n square plus 32n minus 28, if I want this to be equal greater than 0, if my graph is like this, there'll be a problem in the answer, right? Of course, if my graph is like this, then my smallest integer will come just to the right of this line, right? If my graph is like this, then my smallest integer will come just to the right of this line, wherever this is cutting, right? Greater than 0. If my graph is like this, then the smallest integer will come to the right of this point. And if the graph is like this, then the smallest integer will come to the right of this point. So if I'm just thinking logically, I don't know what the roots are right now. So the best thing to do here is to start with a trial and error. And this is where your calculation, I'll come to your question, Jinay. So this is where your calculations come into the picture. So when you start working out that what happens to this expression, at n equals 0, this is minus 28. And at n equals 1, this will be 1 minus 11 plus 32 minus 28. So that you can see is 33 minus 28, so minus 6, minus 39. So that's still negative. At n equals 2, this will be 8 minus 44 plus 64 minus 28. And you can see it's 0. Right? Now, if the graph is going to be like this, and it's going to come back after at least passing an integer, then the answer will be 3. Right? But if I check at n equals 3, I realize that this is 27 minus 99 plus 96 minus 28, and you can see that minus 127 plus 123, this is a negative number. So which means that the graph is now taken a downward shape. Whether it took a downward shape like this or it took a downward shape immediately like this after crossing, that we don't know, right? We don't need to care also about it. But what is important is that from 2 to 3, it might have gone above the x-axis, or it might have remained, touched the x-axis and come back. So now since it's taking a negative root, it's most likely that whenever it takes a positive turn and comes back up, it will cross the x-axis and become positive. And since it's taking a negative term, you can actually skip n equals 4, 5. Maybe you straight away check n equals 6 and check whether it's come into the positive or not. अगर n equals 6 पे पॉजिटिव में आ गया तो तुम 4 और 5 पे चेक करोगे कि पहले आया था कि नहीं. So ये हो जाएगा 216 minus n equals 6 पे 36 है. 36 into 11, 396 plus 192 minus 28. So if you look at this, this is 408 and this is minus 424. So this is still a negative number. So you have bypassed n equals 4, 5 and reached n equals 6, and at that it's still negative. So if you then check at n equals 7, you will get at n equals 7 the value is 0. So n cube will be 343. Minus 11n square will be 539. And inside the exam, doing this is dependent on how well you can actually manage your calculative speeds, because otherwise doing something like this will become too long for you. यहाँ पे तुम देख सकते हो ये 0 होगा because ये plus 196 है, ये minus 196 है. तो that takes you to n equals 8, और n equals 8 पे जब चेक करोगे तो it's definite. अब ये चेक करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है because यहाँ पे 0 आ रहा है, तो it is definitely going to go up. करोगे भी चेक तो आंसर आ जाएगा. So coming to Jinay's question, how to prepare for CMAT in 20 days. Jinesh, CMAT is a simple exam. It's mostly based on LOD one. So your last 20 days in CMAT will be built around speed work. You'll be focusing completely on speed, developing a speed inside out, and you'll focus on that and easy questions. So speed work and LOD ones. So take a few mock tests. Also focus on the methods of doing things faster. Focus on getting questions through one reading, and that's about it. So you can actually make a 10-20% difference in your speed. So just resolve everything you've done. That'll add to your speed a lot, right? So daily preparation ka issue. I talk about it on a weekly basis. Weekly में you need to solve around 125 to 150 questions if you are talking about long term. अगर CMAT की बात कर रहे हो तो डेली 200 क्वेश्चन 150-200 क्वेश्चन LOD 1 लेवल के सॉल्व करके देखो, राइट? तो चलो, आई होप यू गाइज like the session and you're liking these sessions. As I told you earlier, this is my promo code arun.yt. You can use this promo code to join Unacademy Plus. I'm one of the instructors on Unacademy Plus, and like a lot of other people. And you get the best of all worlds if you join there. So do check out Unacademy Plus, and I look forward to having some of you in the Plus courses there with me. Use the promo code ArunYT if you're registering. It'll give you a 10% discount on the existing fees, right? हाँ जिन्हें previous year paper कर लो. That's good enough. ठीक है, प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर कर लो. दैट विल बी गुड इनफ बिकॉज लास्ट CMAT देखो बहुत ज़्यादा प्रिपरेशन करना नहीं है. स्पेशली इफ यू प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर CAT, CMAT विल बी अ केक वॉक, बट द केक वॉक विल बी अ केक वॉक फॉर एवरीवन. सो यू नीड टू बीट अदर्स ऑन स्पीड, राइट? तो 100 मीटर्स दौड़ना मैं भी दौड़ सकता हूँ, तुम भी दौड़ सकते हो, लेकिन हुसैन बोल्ट हम दोनों को स्पीड पर आएगा. तो स्पीड इज द कोर इशू इन CMAT. Yeah. Hi Sivanand, welcome to the session. Good to see you also. Chalo. So I'll stop here. Thank you so much. Bye bye everyone.